The biggest reason why real estate agencies and developers are not closing deals and they're not hitting their revenue goals is because of a broken follow-up process. It is the most important thing in your entire business. It is the heart or the motor of your business, and still agents and agencies and developers are simply not doing it, and it's costing them millions. At Lead Estate, we do around 20 business audits per week, and 95% of the time the follow-up process is inefficient, inconsistent, and infrequent. And in 95% of the times, these businesses are losing deals to competitors. They're leaving deals on the table simply because they're not using the CRM properly and are simply not following up with leads enough. In this video, I'm going to solve this problem once and for all. In my experience, real estate agencies and developers know what to do. They know how to follow up. They know how many times they need to follow up. And they know how they need to use the CRM system. But the biggest problem is the following. You, as the owner, are simply accepting that it's normal for agencies or yourself not to follow up. You prioritize other things, which I understand. If a client wants to view a house, you need to go. If your biggest client needs you now, you need to respond to him. But that does not mean that you need to sacrifice your follow-up. And in most cases, it's simply because you are accepting this within your company. Let me give you an example. Recently, I visited a potential client, a luxury real estate agency. And I asked the question, how many agents do you have? He mentioned that he has 5 agents working at his company. And I asked the question, is every one of your agents following up consistently and frequently enough and getting the maximum out of your leads? And he laughed and said, of course not. I looked at him and I thought, that's strange. And I asked him, why do you accept that it's normal for your agents not to follow up consistently? And he's like, yes, they have other things to do and they don't always follow up. And I said, why are they working at your company? And this may sound harsh, and I'm not telling you to fire all of your agents that are not following up with leads. What I am telling you is that in most of the cases, this is the normal situation in real estate businesses. But before I continue and explain everything that you need to create an efficient and high converting follow-up process, I need you to make one commitment, not to me, but to yourself and your business. And this commitment is, from now on, it's unacceptable within your company to not follow up with leads according to protocol. Whether it's you following up, which can be quite confronting because it's your responsibility, or it is your team that you need to keep accountable. So, from now on, you've made the commitment that it's unacceptable for people in your business, including you, to not follow up with leads. I can explain everything that you need to know about an efficient follow-up process. If you do not make this commitment, it's completely worthless. So now, let's dive straight into the things that you need to implement in order to create an efficient follow-up process. First of all, what is the goal of follow-up? The goal of follow-up is to determine the quality of the lead. A cost per lead is completely irrelevant. If I generate 500 leads and they all fill out in a form that they have enough budget, they want to buy now, or they want to sell now, and they want to schedule an appointment. That seems like 500 quality leads. But if none of them answer, or if everyone that you speak to has no idea that they filled out the form, the leads are worthless. So the quality of the lead is only dependent on how much leads actually convert into qualified appointments of people that have the budget, want to buy or sell within maximum 6 to 12 months, and that they actually want to talk to an agent or a sales professional. That is the first thing that you need to understand. The second goal of the follow-up process is to convert as many leads into qualified appointments. And you do this by being consistent and frequent. So how do we achieve these two goals of determining the quality of the lead and scheduling as much qualified appointments from these leads? Well, there's 2 things that are extremely important. First of all is we need to speak to as many people as possible. We need as much leads as possible to actually reply or pick up the phone. The second thing is that we need to convert as much of these people that we actually speak to into appointments, which leaves us with 2 metrics: the response rate and the conversion rate. At Lead Estate, we work with over 50 clients worldwide, and we track all this data. So what are the KPIs and what are the numbers that you should focus on? In order to achieve the maximum amount of results, you need a pickup rate or a response rate of around 70%, which is already high. So focus between 60 to 70% pickup rate and you're doing really well. Then you want a minimum of 15 to 20% of the leads to actually convert into an appointment. If this is lower, you know exactly where to optimize. So Now you have these 2 KPIs in mind, and you now know exactly what you need to focus on. So let's focus now on what you need to implement and what protocol you or your team needs to follow to make sure that you actually hit these numbers. At Lead Estate, we follow up with leads for our clients. And here are a few standards that we hold our team accountable to and that we expect clients to follow. And in this video, if you have decided to not accept any poor follow-up anymore within your company, you should follow these standards too. The first rule is consistency. You need to follow up consistently. Not once every week or whenever you have time. You need to follow up every single day. You need to make this a process in your business. And I understand, as a real estate agent or an agency, it's very difficult because your agents are running around everywhere, talking to clients, showing viewings, building relationships, closing deals. But it's essential that they set aside time every single day to follow up with leads and make this time in their calendar a non-negotiable. No meetings, no viewings, no answering emails, 1 hour of dedicated follow-up every single day. The second rule is frequency. You don't only want to follow up consistently, but you also want to follow up enough times to actually reach people. So not only following up 1 time or 2 times within 1 week. No, you need to follow up with every new lead up to a minimum of 6 to 10 times. This is essential. What we've noticed in the data that if we follow up a few extra times, that our pickup rate increases and therefore also our conversion rate from lead to appointment increases. And this is essential. There's one big limiting belief that I get all the time. I don't want to annoy them. I don't want to push too much. These people have responded to an advertisement. These people have responded to a form on your website. These people want to be called. They want you to reach out. I hear more times from leads of our clients that they appreciate us for reaching out because most real estate agencies don't reach out to them. They don't come back to them and they don't hear anything. So get this limiting belief out of your system right now and start calling a minimum up to 6 to 10 times and call minimum 1 time every day. The third rule is speed. Every new lead you want to call within 1 hour of them entering your CRM system. At the moment when someone fills in a form or responds to your website, they are in a buying state. They are in a state in their mind where they are really interested about something. If you wait too long, they forget and they go on with their daily activities. So make sure that every lead is called as soon as possible and ideally within the first 15 minutes. I know that this can be difficult sometimes, so focus on that you reach out to every new lead within 1 hour. The fourth rule is long-term follow-up. The reason why most real estate agencies and developers lose out on deals and the way that they are losing the most amount of their revenue is by not following up on the long term. You're probably in this business for the rest of your life, and real estate has a long-term sales process. And I understand. I also only want to focus on people that are interested now, that I can build a relationship with now and that want to buy now. However, most people take about 6 to 12 months to actually decide and sign a contract and actually buy a property or sell that property. And if you do not follow up on the long term, you are going to lose these clients, which is the majority of your clients. And the majority of your deals are closed in the long-term follow-up. So it's essential that you use your CRM system, create tasks, and get reminded on when to follow up on the long term with your leads. I've seen real estate agencies lose millions because they didn't implement a long-term follow-up strategy. And rule number 5, if you are not able to follow the first 4 rules, implement an inside sales agent. An inside sales agent is one person following up with all the leads to then schedule the qualified appointments into your sales agent's calendar, which for you as the owner makes everything more easy. The agents are more motivated because they only speak to really interested people that they can build relationships with and close deals. You only have one person to keep accountable. One person can actually improve his or her skills and increase the conversion rate. And it's easier to track all the data and see the exact performance of the follow-up process. And this is the biggest impact that we make for clients at Lead Estate. Going from an inefficient and chaotic follow-up process to implementing one single sales agent who's only responsible for following up with leads and converting as much of these into qualified appointments. To end this video, I want to give you an exercise. An exercise to completely audit and review your entire follow-up process. And ask yourself a few questions. How much times am I following up with leads? How fast am I following up with leads? Am I following up with leads on a daily basis? How much revenue have I lost because I didn't follow up on the long term? How many agents are following up with leads at the same time? And the last question, I want you to make a list of all of your agents or all of the people that are following up with leads inside of your company and track and see how much percent of their leads are they following up with correctly. And then you can give each of your agents a score. In the most ideal world, when you're already tracking your data, you also want to see how many appointments is every agent scheduling. And then you can see how many leads they followed up with and how many appointments they've set. And therefore analyzing the quality and the effectiveness of your team. And most likely you will see that you are wasting a lot of marketing budget just because you have an inefficient follow-up process. Do these exercises and make a commitment to this, because I will promise you that after realizing the actual performance of your follow-up process, you will start honoring the commitment that we've made in the beginning of this video and not accept poor follow-up anymore within your company. To end this video, I want you to realize that this is the most important video of all. Everything is connected to your follow-up process. You will never know if you make a change in your marketing, what the change in the conversion rate is if you don't follow a specific follow-up process. And if you don't know the actual conversion rate from lead to appointment. If everything is vague and you are accepting a poor follow-up process in your business, and that is the biggest reason why you're not growing your real estate business. I hope that this video made a lot of impact on you, but it will only make impact if you implement. So good luck, and I will see you in the next video.